You decided to support Trump in
Mhm.
2024. What was it about the MAGA movement that made you support it? Was it the fact that you are as you described, or was there something different transpiring in 2024 that you saw compelled you to gravitate towards that?
Well, the first thing is I felt like the election was stolen from him in 2020. There's no
Mhm.
way that anybody can convince me that Joe Biden is the most popular president of all time and he got over 81 million votes. I'm not going
Mhm.
for it. The second thing is that I start to take a deeper look at my own life, right? Because especially as black people in the community, we taught to automatically vote Democrat regardless because we black,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But when I started to deep dive into the things that Democrats stood for, it wasn't the fact that Republicans or Trump or MAGA first got my attention. The first thing that got my attention is the things that I didn't align with the party that I had been voting for based
Right.
off of what my family told me to do, right? I don't believe in men
Gotcha.
and women's bathrooms. I don't believe in, a lot of the stuff, my dollars going to the federal government and letting them manage my money more than I can. I believe
Okay.
in smaller government. I believe in spirituality. I believe in a lot of the things. And so when I started to figure out what are we doing? Why am I voting this way? I started to explore, what about Trump didn't I like? And I
Mhm.
realized that it was more propaganda that was fed to me and that, you know, he was supposedly be racist and all of this stuff. And then I started to evaluate every other president that came before him. And I realized that he's just a quote unquote straight shooter, right? I
Mhm.
mean, he just tells it like it is, regardless of whether you agree with him or not. And most of the things that he said, I aligned with.
One of the things I want to push back on you on this notion about the 2020 election from this perspective. I
Mhm.
believe that the election was legit, but not for the reasons one would think. I totally agree with you. I don't believe anywhere in hell 81 million people wanted Joe Biden to be president. But I do believe 81 million people wanted anybody but Donald Trump. So
I
because
don't
of
believe
that,
that.
it makes it's because of that, it made it believable in terms of
Such an anomaly, though. No one has ever done that before. It's such an anomaly.
that you're making points about the Democratic Party. What would you
Mhm.
say about the Republican Party? You're not about to sit up here and act like they're paragons of virtue, right? And that they're
No,
always honest and straightforward. We're not going to do that, are we?
no, I think that Bush the second was the worst president in my life. I absolutely hated him because of the things that he did to the economy. That was the worst time of my life. I went broke. I think that Obama inherited a mess. I don't think that everything that Obama did was wrong.
Mhm.
I actually think that Trump's policies more or less align with what Obama was doing in 2008, 2009, 2010, right?
Mm.
If you look at Nancy Pelosi's policies back in 96, right? If you look at what Joe Biden said that he stood for, if you look at what Obama represented, those are the same things that Trump represent. They want to make it seem like, well, him deporting illegal migrants is such a bad thing. Obama deported over 3 million people in his
3.1.
in his in his terms. Trump
Yep.
Trump didn't even deport 1 million people in his first term in office. So I don't think that what Trump is doing is so radical. I think that what he's doing is more closely aligned with what moderate Democrats was doing back in the 90s.
So, with that being said, is it fair to say that you wouldn't be against the Democratic Party if it represented what those Democrats represented back in the day? That your real problem is with the progressive movement that appears to have taken over the Democratic Party, and that's what you completely disassociating yourself from?
No, absolutely not. I believe in less government. I believe that people that are here, they should be here legally. I don't believe in men and women's bathrooms. I believe in smaller, much smaller government. I don't believe in higher taxes. I don't believe that you are independent. I think that you are conservative. I think you're a Republican. And not just with your dollar. I think that you are a Republican, but I don't think that you are willing to admit it openly because of the backlash that comes along with the black community and not supporting
Mhm.
people that aligns with the
All right.
Democratic Party.
Okay. Now, I'm glad you brought that up because allow me to retort to that. I don't give a shit what people say. If I feel what I feel, I'm going to stand on it. My challenge is knowing what I'm talking about. You study politics more than I do, along with
Absolutely.
various others. And so, because of that, there are times that I'm simply uncertain about a position. And because I'm uncertain about a position, I lean on the same old, same old. Like, for example, I'm about the economy. I want a strong economy. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm about free market capitalism. but I like some safety nets, not just free market capitalism and let's minimize government involvement to the nth degree. I think that
Like
makes
what?
me
What safety nets?
no, I'm just talking about. Well, when you talk about economically speaking, I don't want over regulation, but I don't want zero regulation either. You see what I'm
That's
saying?
fair.
And in a binary system, they force us to pick a side. So for me, when I say I'm an independent, I'm like, damn, there's certain things that I lean a little bit here to the right, and then I lean a little bit here to the
I don't
left.
think
When
that
you talk,
that the Republican Party forces us to pick. I don't. The Republican
no, I'm
Party
just
is
answering your
not.
question about me. I'm just answering your question about me, just for
Oh, that's
clarification
fair.
purposes.
That's
With
fair.
the immigration, the only I totally supported Trump closing the borders because Biden opened them. If
So
Biden had never
why
opened
not
them,
vote for him? Why not vote for him?
because first of all, I've said this on many occasions. I would have voted for Nikki Haley. I would have voted. I would have voted
I know.
definitely for Nikki Haley. Possibly DeSantis. I didn't like his remarks about good
Wasn't
points
ready.
about slavery, so I probably turned against him because of that. I didn't appreciate that shit at all. But I would tell
Mhm,
you, for the most part, him, and I would vote for Marco Rubio. I wouldn't
mhm.
hesitate. But also know this about me, because I'm glad you asked, because I heard you touching on some of my politics with some of your cliques, and I was like,
Oh
I can't wait to
man.
speak to this brother, right? And I said to myself, I said, listen, I don't blame him for feeling that way because he don't know me, and I've never really discussed a lot of this. But I said, listen, if you're sitting back and it's like, all right, it's immigration, follow the Obama policy, go ahead and keep that policy in place, I would have supported that. When you talk about safety in the streets, damn right, you ain't getting out of jail the same day you get in jail. Not on my watch.
Mhm.
Oh, hell no. So in that regard, yeah, I'm more conservative than liberal. But entitlement programs are more liberal than conservative. I think the desolate and
Why?
disenfranchised, because I think the desolate and disenfranchised need a helping hand from time to time. I know it helped. I know it helped me and my family. Now, we didn't lean on it. We didn't depend on it. We didn't live off of it for decades. But to get a helping hand, to uplift yourself, sometimes I think that's needed, and it doesn't bother me. So though I'm pro-choice, because I don't believe in telling a woman what to do with her body. I think I'm more of a supporter of the LGBTQ
Mhm.
plus community than conservatives are. So those are the reasons why I would call myself an independent who leans a little bit left instead of right, to clarify.
But here's the thing, though, Stephen A. The
Mhm.
Republican Party is not distancing itself from people that's choosing to live their life the way that they want to live it. That's
Okay.
not the position, and that's how it's marketed from the Democrat Party.
Okay.
There's plenty of gay people, there's plenty of people that live alternative lifestyles that are a part of the Republican Party. What the
Hmm.
Republicans are basically saying and standing for is we should not be allowing for children to transition themselves or for parents to transition children before they become of age. We should
I
not
totally agree
allow
with that.
for, but
A
see, that's
thousand
the
percent,
thing.
I agree
It's not
with you.
that Republicans are radical. They're not radical in their stance against anything. They believe in, freedom of religion and for you to be able to practice however you want to practice.
Right.
They're not trying to abolish gay marriage. None of that stuff is existing, right? That is a marketing ploy. But Democrats are extreme in their push for it in order to
But that's
align
now,
themselves with
Anton.
certain groups. No,
That's now. That wasn't back.
that has been
That's not just now. That's who the Democrats has been for quite some time at this point. You probably could go back to 2008 in the Barack Obama administration. They've been extreme, they've been radical, and they actually put the pedal to the metal when Barack Obama got in office.
since Obama
Back in
been
the
in
day.
office.
All right,
That's
I
been
got
since
that point.
Obama been in
But
office.
I grew up in the 80s and the 90s and what have you, and I was hearing a different thing from the Reagan and the H.W. Bush administration. So you got to take that into consideration. And maybe I dropped the ball because I'm thinking about Republicans and conservatives, and I'm thinking about what the party had always been, even up until McCain was running. And I'm looking at
Right.
it from that lens. That's all I'm going to. But let me get back to you,
Hold
because
on.
I want to say this real quick. And I understand Anton's, thoughts and theories on the second Bush in office. And I'm not sitting here, trying to cape for the guy and say that he was the greatest president ever, because Lord knows he had a ton of mishaps throughout the administration, the entire 8 years he was in office. We obviously know who was really running things, and that was Cheney. But the 2008 kerfuffle, what transpired in 2008, which eventually bled into '09 and 2010, when it came to the real estate catastrophe that happened in our nation, it was Bill Clinton that implemented a lot of these policies. It was Bill Clinton's administration that implemented the policies that allowed just any and everybody to purchase a home. And it was Bill Clinton's policies that caused this. So a lot of what the Bush administration had to deal with was the mishaps of the Clinton administration. When you look at 9/11, we know that Bill Clinton, they had Osama bin Laden in their crosshairs. They could have got him in 1999, but it wouldn't have served him politically to do that. So he decided, let him be. And then we get 9/11. They implemented poor policies when it came to real estate and who can and who can't purchase real estate. And the George Bush administration, they had to deal with the fallout from the piss poor policies of the Clinton administration. Not to mention the Clinton administration, they implemented the 1994 crime bill, which locked a lot of brothers up. The Clintons, Bill and Hillary, they got a lot of blood on their hands, man. A lot of blood on their hands. No one really wants to talk about it. We kind of go back and because we look at where we are today in 2026 and we go back to Obama and maybe we'll discuss, George Bush. And yes, Obama coming in 2008, he had a lot to deal with, but a lot of that was the fallout from the previous Democratic administration. I just wanted to put that out there real quick. This is good though, so I'm trying to let it play as much as I can, and then I'll give my talking points at the end. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel.
But let's stay on the my body, my choice part.
Sure, no problem.
The Republicans are not removing women's rights to do what they want to do with their body. The only thing that they're saying is we don't want that to be the responsibility of the federal government. If that's what you want, then you can vote for it on a state level. That's all they're saying. But see, the miscommunication is that they're completely against it. I can disagree with your lifestyle, but still respect your right to do what you want to do because we're governed by the Constitution.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like my ultimate thing is we are a republic governed by the Constitution. And so we're protected based off of our rights, our amendments, our right to carry, right? All of these things. Trump is the only person that's protecting and going against birthright citizenship for illegal migrants, leveraging that when that was literally made for Black people and slaves. I don't see anything that he's doing policy-wise when he's he's developing a lot of these things that create criteria for people to meet the expectation in order for them to get certain things, even when it comes to government services and health and food stamps and Section 8 and all of that stuff. They're not getting rid of it. They want to remove the people that are taking advantage of it from a fraud perspective.
Facts. Especially when we have illegal immigrants that are on these government handouts, especially when 50% of taxpayer dollars go to these handouts. Section 8, food stamps, Medicare, Medicaid. We spend a ton of money supporting some of the laziest people in the country. Now, I'm not one that's, against supporting, some of our Americans that find themselves down and out and in need, especially our senior citizens and especially our veterans. I think we should support those folks. But able-bodied citizens, no, there should be a time limit. There should be a path to you getting on your feet and handling your own business. The reality of it is this, man, in this country, the top 25% of earners, and when I say the top 25% earners, that means people that make $90,000 or more are responsible for 90% of the taxes. And then we find out that, oh, by the way, 50% of the taxes is going towards social subsidies. It's outrageous. So you have hardworking people being taxed into oblivion to take care of people that are some of the least patriotic, they're the least thankful, they're the least grateful individuals we have in the country because they don't work for anything. And all they do is take. They take, and they're not appreciative of anything. It's outrageous.
Anton Daniels right here, straight shooter with yours truly, Stephen A. I wanted to get to the Black community in this regard because one of the things that, listen, like I said, I don't consider myself a Black conservative. I consider myself a Black man who is an independent that leans left on some things and leans right. That's me. That's how I think about myself.
You can't be that way, Stephen A. You cannot be that way.
I'm with Anton on that one as well. All these folks that claim themselves to be independents, most of them, they're either liberal or they're Republican. Most of the people that I know that are independents, they actually vote liberal. They just are frustrated with what these Democrats are doing. So they're like, hey, I don't want to claim myself as a Democrat, but they'll call themselves an independent and then they'll vote blue no matter who, right all the way down the daggone ticket. It's outrageous.
I believe I can. I believe I can.
No.
We could answer. I will gladly come on your show. We can argue about that all day,
I
every day,
can't
bro. I'm happy
wait.
to. I can't. Oh, come on. Oh, please, man. All you got to do is
I
say the word.
can't
Say the
wait
word.
because
You say the
you
word, I will come on your show. It's not a
you
problem.
do
It's not a
that.
problem at all.
You could do that in sports. You can't do that in popular culture and politics.
Because why?
People in the middle get ran over. You got to
Yes.
pick
Says
one
who?
side or the other.
40. Hold on. 40.
You got to choose a side, man. Even when it comes to the word of God, you can't be lukewarm. You either with good or you with evil. One or the two. You can't say, hey, I appreciate some of the things that the good folks are doing, but I also appreciate some of the good things that the evil folks are doing. You know what I'm saying? And then, oh, I'm in the middle. Nah, if you are supporting evil, you're evil. It doesn't matter how much good you do. That's what this guy doesn't understand. And that's why people are so frustrated with Stephen A. Smith, man. He is the ultimate fence rider. That is the problem with this guy. Pick a side.
45% of the U.S. population is independent right now. I
Nope.
would beg to differ on that. It's climbing.
They not.
I just said it. Y'all know. Although, again, yes, you have 45% of the people who will quote unquote call themselves independents. Most of those folks, if you actually polled them, I happen to know a few people, I have a few people in my family that will call themselves independent, but they vote blue no matter who. They're liberals. Although they're quote unquote registered as independents.
Anything. Listen, the independent vote, I think, is going to swing the election one way or the other. What do you say
They're
to that?
not. I don't believe.
You don't think that's going to happen?
I don't believe that 45% of the population is independent. I think that they say that as a cop-out for not wanting to actually say out loud exactly what they represent and who it is that they support, especially within the Black community. It's not popular to say that you're a Republican. It's not popular to say that you're conservative. And so what people lean on is to say, well, I'm independent, in order to give themselves an out for what it is that they choose and not to be accountable for who they support. That's what really is happening. See, I don't believe in what people say. I believe in what people do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of times people are peer pressured, especially today in the Black community, to vote against their own best interest because it's not popular to do and you can't be a part of the cool kids club. And so even with you, I don't like the fact that you apologize for some of the things that you said because you were absolutely right, especially and particularly against how Jasmine Crockett was representing herself. But because the woke mob decided that they wanted to make you the punching bag and to come after you, and they still didn't and don't support you and didn't accept your apology. But in particular, and I'm saying it's not you, the Don Lemons, the Joy Reids, all of these people.
Yeah, let me continue to add to that. The Anthony Rice, the Tiffany Crosses, the Abby Phillips, so forth and so on.
They don't respect you unless you align with what they believe. And so even when it comes to diversity.
Facts. That's the liberal agenda, but that is especially Black liberals. If you do not get in lockstep with them 1,000%, you're an enemy to them.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. They don't believe in diversity unless it's aligned with what they believe, which goes against. It's an oxymoron, right? It's hypocritical. And so even when you have an opinion, they don't believe in Black Republicans. Mm-hmm. They only believe if you believe in them and diversity as it aligns with their agenda.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. How can you want to have voices in every part of government or voices that's different from yours or representation, but you don't want representation when it doesn't agree with you?
Right.
Yep, he's absolutely right. And the crazy thing is, these are also the same people that will say, man, have you seen Trump's cabinet? Man, he doesn't have any Black people in his cabinet. He said in the third grade. In fact, he does have one. And I believe that he might have two at this point. But that's neither here nor there. Because these are the same folks, that you have people that are scared. They get bullied. If you come out and say, hey, I'm a conservative, and you just happen to be, as highly melanated as I am, you have a bunch of people say, hey, man, we're taking your Black card. You are uninvited to the cookout. You are a sellout. You are a bootleg. You are you're everything but a child of God, because you decided that, hey, I don't align myself with the wicked, evil agenda of the Democrat Party. Simple as that.
Like, I can disagree with you on a particular issue, but it doesn't mean that I remove your right to vote or your humanity, or I can't agree with you on this other issue. But that's not what they do. They're not tolerant like they sell you.
We all know that when it comes to cancel culture, the Democrats are the ones that are guilty of that. It ain't the Republicans
100%.
and the right trying to get people canceled. It's the progressive left. There's no doubt about that. We see that every single day. As
I wouldn't even say the progressive left. I just say the left in general. They're all about cancel culture.
it pertains, and I'm glad you brought that up, as it pertains to my apology to Jasmine Crockett, what happened was Trump came out thereafter because I backed it up and I stayed on my position. Well, not just the first time, but the second time. But then Trump came and used that as an excuse to start questioning our IQ and the intelligence of this black woman. And I didn't want to be a part of that. That's why I apologize
So you go back and you lie because you're like, oh no, I don't want to be a part of Trump. Calling out what you had already called out, sir.
for it. You can agree or disagree
You
with it, but that
can't
was my only reason.
apologize for something that you didn't do wrong, Stephen A.
What's the hardest part about being a black conservative?
I want to answer that question real quick. Nothing. I wake up every day and I thank God, and I'm extremely blessed. I have a beautiful woman that majority of the time is in the bed with me because our sleep schedules are different. But there is absolutely nothing wrong with being a black conservative. Seriously. I wake up with a smile on my face every day. And I thank God every day that I get to put 2 feet down on the ground. And I get to get on this microphone and in front of this camera, in front of this laptop, and have conversations with you guys on a day-to-day basis. Hey, being a black conservative is beautiful. Because I know that I'm telling you guys, I am walking in my freedom that our forefathers fought for, died for, bled for. Seriously. I ask people the question, like, what's it like being a quote unquote black liberal when you can't think for yourself? You can't think freely. You got to go along to get along. Even when you disagree with whatever the foolishness that's going along, you aren't free if you are a black liberal. These people control and own your thoughts and your being. So it feels great to be a black conservative. Because when you're a black conservative, you're just an American operating in the full function and freedom that the Constitution bestows upon every American in this great nation. Praise the Lord.
It's not hard at all. It's not hard at all. It's beautiful. I think that it's like being a man. Sometimes you got to, I think the true measure of a man is doing the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do it. All the time, you don't always want to get up and go to work, right? Because sometimes you're tired. But guess what? Part of being a man is getting up and taking care of business because you got people to take care of. And I think that we've lost that as men, and as masculinity is continuously demonized in a culture. Sometimes we look at it as a bad thing. I look at it as a badge of honor. So I don't think that there's anything, honestly, I don't look at it. I can't think of right off the top of my head something that I'm bothered by when it comes to being a conservative or Republican, because I just think it's an education process. In the same way that I used to critique and look at other people and say, man, I don't understand why they a Republican, is the light and the insight that I had to get. And ultimately it was people that stood 10 toes down and didn't change just because they wanted somebody to feel good about them, which gave me some incentive to do my own research. And then that's what led me to being Republican myself.
We're going to get out of here, man. If you guys want to watch the entire interview, it is dope. I think it's pretty phenomenal. It's an hour long. If you guys want to watch that, I'm going to put the link down in the description box below. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith for even being willing to interview, Anton Daniels. I know he's had a lot going on over the past 3-4 months or so. But shout out to Anton also for, just standing on business, as a black conservative, as somebody that's just walking in the full function and freedom of being an American, you know what I'm saying, and speaking his mind. And I know some of you guys, y'all may not like it. Y'all may not agree with him. You know what I'm saying? And I can't sit here and say that I agree with everything, that Anton does, or says. But in this particular interview, and the clips that we showcase, yeah, I'm with this brother 1000%, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel the same exact way. I don't refute it. And it's always, when it comes to, liberals, especially black liberals, it's always, well, what about Trump? Or what about white people? Or what about the Republicans? It's always that. It's never about what you're actually dealing with, what you're doing, what you're going through, the people you support. They're like, we support them, but well, what about these folks? Well, you don't support those folks. So why are you concerned? I want to hear from you guys in the comment section, though. What are your thoughts? Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. Join us Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for ARP in the morning. And as always, Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you guys next time. Peace.
It is God who arms me with strength. Yeah, I'm battle ready. He trains my hands for battle. My heart stays steady. But thanks be to God, He gives us the victory. Through my Lord Jesus Christ, fear can't live in me. I was down to the dirt, red clay on my shoes, old pain in my shirt, oh so bruised. Then the Lord hit my chest, kicked air from my breath, put power in my step.